Topic 10 here, we're going to start talking about relationships. And in this first section of topic 10, we're going to talk about attraction. What is it that draws people together? Huh? Well, I guess that makes sense. Attraction with a magnet. So it's pretty clear that there's a large variability in what equals attractive because we can see as we go across these five phases, they are all considered beautiful in some part of the world or another. And of course, not only will this notion of what equals beautiful change cross-culturally, but they'll also change with time. But despite the fact that there's this variability, there is some common core ideas and core ideas that are not culturally based because these notions of attraction are found in infants as well. Infants, very young infants. So human beings are attracted to people that have clear complexions, right? That have little to no facial blemishes. And so you find that the cosmetic industry takes advantage of this, and people pay a lot of money to get a clear complexion. And as I said, even infants prefer to look at a face that has a clear complexion versus one that has many blemishes. Another universal of physical attraction, which is a reflection of physical health, is bilateral symmetry. That is, when an infant is developing in a healthy environment, the left and the right side of the body, and face in particular, is going to develop symmetrically. And pathogens in the environment are going to cause. And at the same time, people like average features. This face present here is not average. It is uh, not as easy to process. From a cognitive perspective, it's easy to process things that are a good representation of the average in the group. The further it is away from the average or prototype of a group, the harder it is to process. And so consequently, when they've done research where they've kind of taken photographs and like, which one's the most attractive? Attraction, attraction. And so when they start blending pictures and blurring, and the more you blend together, the more you blur, the more attractive it becomes. So they created composite photos of Asians and Caucasians, and the average Asians, Caucasians, shove them, and then all of a sudden, the more average it was, the more attractive it was considered. So when it comes to facial features, average equals good, because again, presumably this indicates that the infant, when developing, grew up in an environment with low pathogen levels. But when it comes to body weight, what happens is attractive, well, with body features, attractive equals those things that are difficult to acquire. Okay. So what happens is that when food is very difficult to come by, um, being a very large person is considered attractive because it's like a sign of wealth. Look at me, I have so much access to wealth that I can, in fact, carry around extra with me. Okay. But all of a sudden, what you find, and this is the traditional notion of what equals beautiful, right? On the left there, they call this a Venus. In archaeology, they find many, many, many cultures where they discovered this notion on the left of some kind of an idealized feminine body and it being this portrayal. And they've been referred to as Venuses throughout the archaeological community. Nowadays, the skinnier the better because now, of course, calories are so easy to consume, it's actually difficult to create a smaller body. Therefore, this is what's preferred. Okay? So, yeah, the US spends more money on beauty products than on education. Wow. When you look at tuition bill, you got to wonder how that works. In America, it's true. It's called the tyranny of the beautiful. People that are more physically attractive have better outcomes. People treat them differently. They get, in mock criminal trials, more attractive defendants get smaller penalties. They get assigned larger salaries. I mean, just all kinds of differences going on. But the question is, this notion of tyranny and the beautiful is a very big finding in Western social psychology. But the question is, would this be true in other cultural contexts? Because we find people that live in more independent contexts, in fact, remind ourselves on this next slide, in an independent context, if you are this individual then it turns out this stranger may well be your next boyfriend or girlfriend. It may well be, just because this person is a stranger today. So you should possess those characteristics that have the ability to attract this stranger. But if you grow up in an interdependent cultural context, this stranger will never enter your in group. Therefore, there is pretty much zero chance that this stranger will ever be your boyfriend or girlfriend. Therefore, there is very, very little reason for you to possess characteristics to draw people in, because your boyfriend or girlfriend is going to come from this in group of people to begin with. You do not have to draw them in, they are already there. And so we refer to open relationship markets and closed relationship markets, right? And so in the interdependent context, it's closed relationship, and in the independent context, it's much more of an open relationship. And what you find is that in a culture in like the United States that has an open relationship market, you find that there is a strong correlation between attractiveness scores and how good people's relationships are. And there's a strong correlation between how attractive somebody is and general outcomes like, salary and things of this nature. Whereas in Ghana, you can see the relationship between attractiveness and the quality of the relationships is closer to zero, nearly zero, and the relationship between attractiveness and other life outcomes is in fact negative, all right, quite powerfully negative. The more attractive you are, the less successful you are. And it's the exact opposite. So it's a huge reminder about the weird nature of psychology. And another very, very large finding in Western psychology is the similarity attraction effect, that people tend to have an attraction to people that are similar to themselves, whether that similar is on a physical attractiveness scale, or that similar is political beliefs, or that similar is, whatever it is, preference for foods, etc. So they did a study here where they took and gave people a personality test, and then what they did was they generated a fake personality profile of another person and said, how much do you think you'd enjoy, spending time with this person or something like that? How much would you like them? And so these fake personality profiles they created were either very, very low, I mean, that is to say they were designed to be dissimilar, or they were designed to be very similar. And you can see that in this Canada, so in Canada here, that there's a difference. If this stranger has been represented to be just like you, then you find them more attractive, or you feel more likely that you'll enjoy spending time with them. Whereas for the Japanese, who are again in a very closed relationship market, this notion of similarity didn't have an effect, because again, as we described previously with a close relationship, if this is a stranger, they're always going to be a stranger. Why would that make it more or less likely that I would like them? They will always be a stranger.